I think the mission of optimal work is to help people bring their highest ideals into an hour of work so that they can grow in those ideals in the rest of life. So we're always looking at how can we help people to be moving along a path of growth? And in order to do that, reframing is the essential skill. So reframing is the foundation of all growth because it is what allows us to see that growth in our mind so that we can then follow it in the course of our action. So the problem that people run into when they try to grow is they try to force growth through effort. And they try to push through. We call this white knuckling. But the idea is also called voluntarism, which means it's all on the will. And so the answer to that kind of pushy, effortful, voluntaristic approach is reframing. Reframing is how you bring your intelligence to a challenge so that it then opens up a pathway in that challenge for you to grow in a meaningful way. And because it is something that takes place in the intellect, it cannot be made rote because it's not memory. So it can't be just something that you have memorized how to do. And that's the essence of why it's so difficult. We don't want to use our intellects. We would rather just rely on what we've always done and push our way through. Well, reframing has to be a different path than that.
I wonder if with the approach of kind of white knuckling it, you mentioned voluntarism, the emphasis on the will. It seems like a lot of in the self-help space, you might say, and reading books on this, Atomic Habits and others, the focus is on building habits, like just kind of repeating actions over and over. So it's all about behaviors. And obviously that's important. Behavioral therapy and optimal work is kind of rooted in that tradition. But this is also complementing that with the cognitive element. It seems like reframing is the cognitive in cognitive behavioral therapy. So when we're helping people grow and develop new habits, we want to make sure it's not just the actions and the behaviors, but it's rooted in the intelligence. And that's where reframing comes in large part, right?
Yeah, because when you're talking about the intelligence, you're saying, how can our intelligence strategize a challenge to have a high goal and then steps to get there? That's the trajectory of growth we're talking about. So you can't form strategies by relying on old strategies. That's the conundrum of the habit. It's like habits are good, but you have to be on trajectory of habit formation. So it's not just getting everything in your life to the point of automation. It's more about being ready for challenges as they come up by building a foundation of good habits, but then seeing that there's a way of continuing this growth. And the only way you really know where your growth lies is in the detection of what is challenging right now. It's the hard thing right now, the work in front of you that you're reluctant to do, the thing you keep dreading, or the work you're procrastinating, or the conversation you don't want to have that you know you need to have. All of that shows us where right now does the growth lie. And the fact that we have a negative view of it is what's responsible for our avoiding it. So avoidance follows the labeling this as a threat. So instead of just seeing it as an opportunity, we just are treating it as a threat. And it's something to be managed or minimized or avoided. I think a lot of, too, in the self-help literature, there's, they get people inwardly focused in the wrong way. So everything is about managing emotion. And what that really means is minimizing emotions that you don't want to have. But I don't know of any challenge that we can approach in a better way by getting rid of the emotions that it brings on. I think as a rule, those emotions are somehow there to tell us something about how to engage the challenge, or at least giving us the energy that we need once we've flipped it into the right, and kind of into a form that we can use. So if something makes us anxious because we've always avoided it, well, okay, then that's where our growth lies. Not in dealing with the anxiety primarily, but in actually learning how to let this challenge bring out our best, to have a real goal we're setting in the challenge. Now our adrenaline has something to engage, and it actually makes that growth easier. So that's what we're always looking for. What's the real challenge? What's the thing that is hiding right now the opportunity so that we can find it, discover it, and then turn it into a path of growth.